I hope you're hungry, everybody. You know I am. Chef Kevin Belton is back with us today for a fun and delicious one-pot meal using supreme rice. He joins me now in the Winn-Dixie kitchen. Chef, welcome back.
How we doing?
Doing good.
Good?
It's smelling like a fiesta in here today.
Well, you know, hey, I call this a fiesta, a supreme fiesta skillet, but I'm using a little bigger pot because we're making it enough for the crew,
Come
enough
on,
for everybody.
Hey, crew.
So what I started with ground turkey. Okay, and you can do this with ground meat, you can do it with whatever you have, gang. But I did ground turkey. I threw in some onion with that, sauteed it, hit it with Creole seasoning, some cumin.
Ooh.
All right. But I also threw in some zucchini. Okay, so we get some fresh vegetables in. I threw in Rotel tomatoes.
Love Rotel tomatoes.
Fire roasted tomatoes, a little corn, and I've had this just sitting here cooking and simmering, okay?
This is a fiesta right here.
But here's what I want to do, and we're going to talk about this in a second. This is cooked brown rice.
Okay, already cooked.
We want to get our brown rice in there because you may be thinking, hey, what about that moisture that comes out of the turkey? A little bit of moisture might come out of the turkey.
Yeah.
A little bit of moisture from the tomatoes. That's okay because our brown rice is going to absorb all of these flavors.
So we don't have to drain it.
We don't have to drain it. So here's what we're going to do. Here's some shredded jack cheese.
Come on, yes.
We'll get some shredded jack cheese in. This is plain Greek yogurt.
Greek yogurt? I thought that was sour cream.
No, Greek yogurt. This, it kind of does the same thing where it gives that smooth, creamy texture, you know, on the palate. All right, but it just smooths it out right quick. But here's what we want to do with this. The reason why I'm kind of doing it this way right quick. All right, let's take a little more cheese.
Always, yeah, throw it all in there, Chef.
Put
Go
this on
ahead.
top. Now, I'm gonna put the lid on this so just for a second. Fire's off, okay?
Okay.
We want that cheese to melt right quick, but let's talk about the brown rice right quick. Let's talk about our rice farmers, gang, who could cook rice like nobody else does.
They supreme, okay?
Yeah, they supreme. Of course, we've got the jasmine, we've got long grain, medium grain. I chose brown rice. Now, brown rice, as you look at it right here, brown rice, the reason it has that, there's still a little bit of a husk on brown rice. That's why when you cook brown rice, it needs a little longer cooking time, okay? But that's also where the vitamins are, is in that husk, okay? So you might hear people talk about, oh, the rice has to be polished. Well, what they do is they put this in a big vat, looks like a big clothes dryer, and the rice will rub on each other, and as it rubs on each other, all of a sudden, this outside coating gets sucked up. All right, then it looks like white rice.
Yes.
Okay, and then this is sold in stores as rice bran. So when you go in the grocery stores and you see or health food store, you see rice bran.
Yeah.
And it's kind of powdery. That's the husk from the rice.
So
because
it's the
that's
husk
where the
is what making
vitamins
it
are.
brown?
That's what's making it brown, and that's why it needs a little longer cooking time. Okay.
I did not know that.
That's why whenever you cook brown rice, it needs a little longer cooking time. But gang, hey, you can use the brown rice just like you would recipes that use white rice, okay? To me, the brown rice, because of that husk, has a little more nuttier flavor.
Okay, flavor.
That's just me. It just gives it a little nuttier flavor. So that's why I love using that brown rice.
I think that is great. You are teaching us today. Come on, we like brown, obviously. So that's a good idea there. Now I gotta ask you this. Turkey, out of all the different proteins, why did you choose turkey? Is it because it's a little bit healthier since we're using the brown?
You know, it's summertime, it's warm. It just lightens up the dish a little bit to me. You know, you don't think, I mean, of course you could do this with ground beef, but just the turkey, you think a little lighter. So with that zucchini, with that corn,
I love it.
It's a little fresher, and that's why I made you a little bit earlier so you can go ahead and taste that.
Come on, you all have seen the
We're
recipe
gonna
on
finish
your
this off with a little
screen.
bit of green onion for you, a little bit of cilantro on there.
Oh, the fiesta continues.
I'm gonna put some in here, and I'll just stir this in.
And I love that this was a one-pot meal.
Hey,
okay.
one pot dish. And you know, look, the cheese melted on top. And what's nice is if you want to take this out of a skillet and pour it in a casserole dish and just cover it and then bring it to the table in a casserole dish, but you could bring this to the table in the pot just like this with that cheese melted on top. Look how gooey that cheese gets. But that rice has absorbed all of that. And that yogurt, just like you thought it was sour cream, gang, using that plain yogurt, you could use a regular plain yogurt or a Greek yogurt, it just makes everything kind of smooths. It kind of smooths everything out without using heavy cream.
I'm very impressed. Y'all want to know a secret? I don't really like ground turkey, but I love this. Okay.
Well, I mean, it's
this
about
is delicious.
It's about the flavors, you know. So we got the seasoning, we got the little hint of cumin in there. We've got the Creole seasoning in.
And the cilantro on top. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
and it brightens it up as fresh, even though it's something that could be heavy, gang. By using those fresh herbs at the end, and by using that brown rice with that little nutty flavor, it all complements each other. Okay? So remember, hey, nobody cooks rice like our rice farmers. So whether you do this recipe with ground meat or ground turkey, whether you try this with the jasmine rice, okay, or the long grain rice, or if you use that short grain rice, it'll really get sticky and kind of gummy. You can almost shape it in little balls, okay, because short of the grain is starch of the rice.
This corn, I'm telling y'all, this is great, and it's one pot. I love it so much.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
gotta ask you this, since you pre-cook the brown rice, right? Is that your biggest secret when it comes to cooking brown rice? Give it a little bit more time. Did you cook this in water, chicken stock? What did you do?
I always cook my rice in stock. Vegetable stock, chicken stock, but brown rice needs a little longer cooking time because it needs extra liquid. So if you're not familiar, if you haven't cooked brown rice before, don't worry. Look at the Supreme package. Right on the package, it'll tell you how much liquid to add to the rice you're gonna cook and how to adjust your cooking time.
I've almost finished the bowl, everybody. You hear me? The food is delicious, Chef Kevin.
That's why I have more in here.
Supreme, thank you. It's a big, easy meal, okay?
That's
Look,
it.
everybody, if you want more great recipes using Supreme Rice, head over to supremerice.com and make sure you like them on Facebook and follow them on Instagram as well. Now,